Andasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chaksurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vigna Vinashana Nrsimhaiti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayatim Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mishwaram Tatsat. Okay. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavatir naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukhamukad amrita drava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavakaha. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadev Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and the other cowherd men of Vrindavana, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses. Nama Pankajanaభాయ Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangre. My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. So, Hare Krishna. So, we are continuing chapter 8. So, it's 7:16 now. Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit saved. So, we have already covered the topic on Parikshit being saved, and we were in the midst of the prayers by Queen Kunti. So, this is the part 3 of Kunti Maharani's prayers, and it will also conclude this chapter, chapter 8, where we will end with Yudhishthira Maharaja's lamentation, which will serve as a precursor to the next chapter. So a little bit of recapitulation. If you look at the chapter 8 structure, I'm only mainly discussing the Kunti Maharani's prayers only. So we began with Kunti Maharani's darshan. So if you remember again, there always in prayers there will be three levels to it. The first part would be the glorification. So the glorification, and then the second part would be the expression of humility and the expression of surrender. And the third part will be the lalasamai part, which is requesting for something spiritual. This is your request so that you can achieve a spiritual perfection. So the first part of it, which is glorification, can be broken into several sections. So first we have the darshan part. So darshan here is basically the Kunti Maharani glorifying Supreme Lord's as a very exalted personality, as the supreme personality of Godhead. So we can break it into Yogeshwara. So I'm just summarizing here what we are discussing. So you are supreme. So first, Kunti Maharani will glorify Krishna by saying that you are the supreme personality of Godhead. Everything, you are pervading everything inside and outside. You're Vibhu. So these are some of your qualities. And however, although you are so great and you are pervading everything and you're inside and you are pervading inside and outside, still somehow you are not visible to people. So why is this? So then she answers her own questions. She says, you are invisible because there is a curtain of Maya which covers you, right? Remember that part? And despite the curtains of Maya covering you, still you are visible, you show yourself to some people. And who are those who are qualified to see you? So mainly those who are, like, for example, Munis, who are great philosophers, who have studied the matter of spirit, the differences between spirit and matter. So such people who have really worshipped you with their intelligence, the yogis, right, who have dedicated their lives, and also the Paramahamsas. So these people are great personalities. So you have revealed yourself to them. And then in the same line, Kunti Maharani will pray. But, you reveal yourself to such people, how then can women such as ourselves, such as myself, can see you? So that is where Kunti Maharani is actually trying to glorify bhakta, the bhaktas of Bhakti Yoga. So she's telling the Lord, you are very difficult to actually achieve, because you need such exalted personalities who have done so much of learning, right? But at the same time, you're also very accessible to the pure hearted. You're very accessible to those who have intrinsic faith in you, those who have taken up devotional service. So in this way, she's actually glorifying, and this particular method of Bhakti Yoga is available for all living entities, not only the intelligent ones. It's available for every type of people. So she's saying here, continuing, right? Therefore, the Yogeshwara part is completed. And she continues with the fortune of the Ananya Bhaktas. Ananya Bhaktas means those who are unalloyed devotees. So those who are unalloyed devotees have so much of fortune they have attained from you, because they're able to see you. Because Kunti Maharani is saying, how else can women know you, right? Then you might imagine Krishna will be looking at Kunti Maharani and saying, but you are a woman and you are worshipping me and you can see me and you're glorifying me. So then Kunti Maharani is saying, yes, but that's only because you are merciful to your bhaktas. Bhaktas are most fortunate. They are more fortunate than the munis and all the others. They can directly not only see you, they can associate with you. Like the munis, after so much of austerities, they can just glimpse the light of your toenails. This description is given right in the Damodarashtakam. So it takes so much of difficulty just even to glance a glimpse of the shining Brahman effulgence for them. But you actually give yourself to your devotees. So bhaktas are most fortunate. And then she continues saying, she gives examples, that's where she comes and says, Vasudevaya, Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Devaki Nandanaya cha. She says that verse. She says, people like Devaki, Vasudeva are also fortunate. But she continues further, but even more fortunate, why she considers herself more fortunate? Because so much more involved in their lives. Like she saved Krishna, she saved all the Pandavas, she was Sabha. You saved us from the Asat Sabha, which is the vicious assembly. Right? She remembered how Draupadi was saved. And then she's also saying how you saved us from Mride Mride. Again and again you kept saving us. Mride Mride Maharata Ashrataha. So again and again you save us from the different weapons thrown by the great warriors and Kshatriyas like Bhishma, Drona, Karna. So these people, all of them you saved us again. So this is how Devaki is, Kunti Maharani is glorifying herself. What? Oh, okay. Screen is not shared. Wait, let me check. Where's the screen? Share. Okay. All right. So in this way, you have saved us. So Kunti Maharani is recalling, she's finding a link. You are so much with us. I think it's only because of so much of miseries that we have gone through. So if that is true, then she comes up with her famous verse, right? If that is true, then let these miseries, these calamities come again and again, because if this means that I get your darshan, then I don't want these calamities to ever go away. So this is how Kunti Maharani is praying. So the idea is generally, Prabhupada gives his purport over there. So generally, Krishna gives his favor to a devotee who is in greater danger. So Devaki was not in as great a danger compared to the Pandavas and to Kunti Maharani, and so therefore, the idea is we should also, not to say that we put ourselves in this kind of danger. So the idea is we should develop the mood of helplessness. So we should not be thinking that we are able to handle situations. Even if we can handle situations, we should always have the consciousness that these things are only happening by the mercy of Krishna. That if at all an idea came to me, it is by Krishna's mercy. If at all that I was able to avoid a problem, it is due to Krishna's mercy giving me the right intelligence and so forth. So this kind of mood of helplessness should always be there. And because the living entity is always forgetful of all these things,
So therefore, Kunti Maharani is praying, let these calamities come and again. So then she says, she continues in the next verse, therefore, let me be bereft of all material opulences. What are these material opulences which are serving as a distraction? So then she starts saying, Janma, birth in high family, Aishwarya, great wealth and opulence. Then she says, what else? Janma, Aishwarya, Shrudu. Is that a word? The great learning. So great learning, your intelligence. So you tend to rely on your intelligence, or you tend to rely on your ability, your cunningness, and all that. And then Janma, Aishwarya, Shrudu. What's the fourth one? Janma, Aishwarya, Shrudu, learning, beauty. So the beauty is another thing people depend on. So so these are all obstacles. Why are they obstacles? So in the same verse, she describes how, because in in the presence of these things, the living entity tends to lose his mind. Uh, he becomes mad. So the word mada is used, right? He becomes illusioned completely about how he thinks that these are the things which are actually saving him. So how to develop this mood of helplessness led? So if you read the purport, Prabhupada will talk about how, just like in chanting also, there are two qualities of chanting. So we can either chant helplessly, or we can chant with we are not chanting in such a helpless mood. Why? Because we are comfortable. We are comfortably situated. We have our family, we have our fortune, we have our intelligence, we have our beauty, and so forth and so forth. Or we have, so like that. So we are comfortably situated. We have confidence that these things are always there. So therefore we are unable to actually develop that mood of helplessness. So this is one of the very core teachings of Queen Kunti. So therefore, Queen Kunti says, pointer options. So therefore, Queen Kunti says, you are Akincha Gocharam. So Akincha Gocharam means you are only easily approachable by the bereft, those who are materially exhausted. So because they have no other shelter, so therefore naturally it's easier for them to give their faith towards you. And she also calls him Akinchana Vittaya. Because these devotees who are bereft, they surrender completely to you. Because of that, you give yourself to them. Therefore, you become their property. So Akinchana Vittaya. Gochara means approachable. Vittaya means you are their property. Both also Akinchana. So that means you have to develop, we don't have to necessarily become Akinchana. Akinchana means bereft of all fortune, right? With material fortune. So, but the idea is, before we become bereft of all material fortune, we should train ourselves to be not reliant on these material fortune. We should train ourselves to not rely, not to surrender to these things, to instead rely completely only on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So this is the idea behind these prayers. So that's the fortune of the Ananya Bhaktas. Then Kunti Maharani goes on to discuss about how the Supreme Lord is so inconceivable. You are so mysterious, O Lord. So she begins by saying, you are like the eternal time. So Prabhupada, he says in his purport, the Supreme Lord comes to everyone, not only to devotees, he's equal. It's just like the sun, he rises equally. It's just that how different people perceive, just like the sunstone actually takes maximum benefit from the sun rays and becomes potent. Whereas the blind people, although the sun rays are striking hot, the blind person cannot derive any kind of advantage out of that. So, and also, you have the example of the owl. The owl is very unhappy when the sun rises. But in contrast, you have the Chakravaka birds who are extremely happy when the sun rises, right? So it's just a matter of perspective. and training our consciousness in that way. So, and to those people who are uh, not devotees, the Supreme Lord comes to them also in the form of Kala. So Kala is your good time and your bad time. So it is going to come to you and it will kill you at the time of death. So that is Kala, the supreme destroyer. So like that, you are the controller, and Kunti Maharani says you are beginningless, and you are beginningless and you are endless. Anadi Nidanam. Then you are Vibhut, you are everywhere, you are great, you are all pervading, and you are equal to everyone. So you give your mercy equally, right? It's just as you surrender, you give more mercy. So in that sense, you are equal to everyone. And she continues more on how your leelas are so bewildering. So you appear to be human, right? But yet you are performing great transcendental pastimes. And people only imagine that you are partial. So we discussed this a little. Then she went on saying more about her Krishna's bewildering qualities, how Krishna is Aja, and yet he's unborn, yet he is taking birth. He is Akartu, he does not do any work, yet he is doing so many activities. He is Vishwa Atman, right? He is the soul of the entire universe, and yet he takes birth amongst the living entities as if he's one of them, amongst the Tiryak, the animals, the Nara, the human beings, the Rishis, the aquatics, right? So this is how Kunti Maharani is glorifying. So this is the darshan part we covered, right? And it all accumulated with this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, where she's saying, it's bewildering how you are fear personified. Fear personified is scared of you, but then you are crying with tears in front, afraid of Mother Yashoda. How fortunate are these devotees, and how inconceivable you are. So this is her summary of the first part of her prayer. And then she continues to discuss more about the Lord's mercy. So how merciful the Lord is, that he is descending to this material world. And then he talks about the different reasons why he descends. So she talks about the glorifications of, so there are secondary reasons and there are primary reasons. So, Krishna comes because he wants to please the kings, the pious kings, like Yudhishthira Maharaj, like Yadu, and just like how the sun rises in the east and the east is glorified. So therefore, just like how the Yadu dynasty is glorified just because you took birth in them, just like how Ram, the Solar dynasty is glorified just because you took birth in that dynasty. So in that way, you come just to glorify the pious kings. And you come in answer to prayers of your various devotees. So for example, you have prayers of Vasudev and Devaki. They prayed so much. Previously, they were Prishni and I forgot the man's Vasudev's name. Sutapa and Prishni. So both were devotees in their past birth, and they prayed for a son. And this time you came as Vasudev, as Krishna. So like that, and you also answer. For example, you have Brahma's prayers, right? So you answered Brahma's prayers. What did Brahma pray for? He wanted you to come and establish. He wanted you to come and save all the devas. So Asya Kshemaya, that means to save, to protect the suras, to save the devas, to protect the suras. And you also come to kill Sura Dvisham, Cha Sura Dvisham, Cha Asura Dvisham. Also Asura Dvisham, that means to kill the Asuras, to kill the demonic people who are creating such a problem to the devotees. And this killing is also mercy, because whenever Krishna comes, whenever the Lord comes, it's always those who are killed are liberated, right? But when Krishna comes, those who are killed are actually going beyond liberation. They get not only Sayuja Mukti, they get beyond. They get Swarupa, Salokya, the same planet, same form of the Lord, and things like that. And even some of them went to Goloka Vrindavan, like Agashura and what's this, Putana, like that. So Krishna is so merciful. So these are all different manifestations of his mercy. So therefore, in that sense, you are samam, you are equal. And Krishna also descends to liberate the burden of the earth, right? So this kind of verses you can also find in the Bhagavad Gita, right? So we discussed all this previously. These are the purposes the Lord descends. And the primary reason why the Lord descends is to benedict the conditioned souls. So why he mainly descends is because he wants to give his benediction. And what is this benediction which he is giving? The main benedict, we discussed this, there are two parts to this. One is he wants to save the conditioned souls from this samsara. You can see here this picture, how the Supreme Lord is actually desiring for all the living entities to come back to him, to come back to his spiritual abode and be with him eternally. So he wants that, but the Lord never forces. And because he never forces, he has to come with all these different strategies, because love is never forced. So all these different strategies he creates. So what is the main strategy he creates? There are many strategies. The main strategy is he wants to attract them with his leelas. And for that purpose, he comes to reveal his lotus feet. So therefore, he is known as Padam Bhujam. So he places his lotus feet in different places in this world, and those places become tirtha or stations where they get people, the living entities immediately get purified. And then he brings his entire entourage and establishes dams so that the living entities can see those beautiful pastimes and become completely enamored and become completely intoxicated with the beauty, the nama, rupa, lila, guna of Krishna. And then in that way, forget their attraction to the material universe. And in this way, because that is the only way for them to be released. And then we discussed a little bit about how the main purpose is actually to give this lotus feet, not to the suffering of the removing of the suffering of the living entities due to karma, kama, and avidya is only a side effect. So, because if it's simply to remove karma, the Lord doesn't have to descend. If it is simply to remove avidya and ignorance, the Lord doesn't have to personally descend. It is to establish his lotus feet in this earth and to show his pastimes. That's the main reason. And he does this to please his pure devotees. And as a side effect, it also purifies the living entities from karma, kama, and avidya. And therefore, they get liberated and they go back to spiritual abode. So this is all discussed by Kunti Maharani. So, and so we discussed this, but we already discussed this. So today, so let's see, my recap took about, okay, now it's 7:40. So today's topic is not too long. We should hope to finish by 8:30. We are concluding the prayers of Kunti Maharani, and we are going to go a little bit to the next part of the story, how Maharaj Yudhishthira came and lamented. Because if you, okay, never mind. So therefore, Kunti Maharani's prayers now, we have discussed the darshan aspect, the mercy aspect of the Lord which descends, which is still part, you can see here, all of this is still part of the glorification, right? Which is called Samprartanatmika, very feelingly offering prayers, right? And now comes the second part, which is the shelter. Only shelter. That means you are submitting yourself to the Lord. You are submitting yourself to the Lord. In other words, saranagati, surrendering to the Lord, right? So this is called Dainya Bodhika, or humbly submitting oneself. So what is Kunti Maharani saying? And this is the sweetest part of the prayer. If you can see Kunti Maharani, you can finally see Kunti Maharani's mind is being revealed. What is the core? What is her heart? Actually, what is it she wants from Krishna? So, and it's very sweet. So, the heart of Kunti Maharani's prayers, it begins with 1:837. So she says, Api adya nastvam swakrithetita prabhu. Oh my Lord, are you leaving us today? So Kunti Maharani, she just glorified Krishna and she just remembered all the different times when Krishna actually saved the Pandavas, her family, and how they were so reliant on Krishna. She found this idea of being reliant on Krishna so blissful. So she's remembering this, and she's saying, we have always relied on you in so many difficulties, and now are you leaving us today? So Kunti Maharani her heart is breaking. So therefore, she prays. She gives excuses. She starts giving excuses to the Lord, right? Trying to somehow entice him to stay. Though we are completely dependent on your mercy, Kunti Maharani says, and have no one else to protect us. So why is she saying no one else to protect? You know, I'll come to that. Now, why do I need protection? Why do we need protection? Because, people may say the Mahabharata is over, the war is over, everybody is killed already. But then the acharyas explain, Kunti Maharani is giving her, trying to give, she's not artificially giving excuses. She actually wholeheartedly feels that her entire well-being, her family's well-being is completely dependent on the Lord. Even, it's not only when I am in trouble, I'm looking at you, Krishna. It's not only when I had the war, when I had all my calamities, even without the calamities, I don't think we can exist without you, even if there are no calamities. So in that way, Kunti Maharani is praying. No one else to protect us. So people would say, the acharyas will explain, there are still the friends of those, because everybody is killed, we have won. When somebody becomes a new king, or somebody becomes a new temple president, or somebody becomes a new sannyasi, usually there's a lot of envy, right? People envy them. So when somebody gets something nice, something, they attain something, whatever, generally there's a lot of envy generated. The world, and it's not like you have killed all the people, right? You have killed the powerful ones who are creating a burden to the earth, but their families are there, their relatives are there who are still not so very dharmic, because this is Dwapara Yuga already, the Kali Yuga is beginning, right? So there are so much of enmity. People who are 650 million people were killed in Mahabharata. 650 million people were killed in the Mahabharata, and definitely the world is going to scream. They're going to be very upset with the Pandavas. So we need your help. And then you may argue, Krishna might, people thinking that Krishna will say, but you have your Pandavas, you have your husbands, you have the mighty king who is the son of Dharma, you have Arjuna who is the great archer, you have Bhima, Vrikodara, right? So all these people are there. Why do you need me still? So to that, so this is, I'm putting here a picture of a fish. This is just to show Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada says this is Kunti Maharani. She's expressing her surrender. That surrender is like the surrender of the fish. The fish is always reliant on the water. So once the fish is out of the water, is completely helpless. So this is the mood we have to develop. You may give the fish Aishwarya. You can bring fish the nice lot of money. You can say the fish was born in a great family, Janma. You can say the fish is very beautiful. See how colorful that fish is. Yeah, Stree. You can say the fish may be very learned. You don't know. Okay. So it knows how to avoid its predators. It knows how to find the best of food and everything. So it's very learned. But as soon as the water is removed, the fish is so helpless. So in the same way, Kunti Maharani's feelings are like that. So we have to develop that mood, if not in our daily life, at least when we are chanting, and as at least in tribulations. We should learn to completely surrender. We should not think the doctor can save us. We should not think the modern medicines can save us. We should not think that the economy will save us. We should not think that the new government will come in, or the new election will start and then they will save us. No, we should be completely reliant on though we work. So Prabhupada gives a very interesting purport here. If you read carefully in all this, it's very nice. So what he says, it's not like the Pandavas were parasites. It's not like the Pandavas were like the simply sitting there and drinking Krishna's blood. The example is given, my Guru Maharaj was saying, a disciple may be very close to the Guru, always very close to the Guru, always talking every day, but the mosquito is also very close to the Guru. The mosquito sits on the Guru's skin, in fact. We may not touch the Guru, but the mosquito touches the Guru. So we are not supposed to be parasites. So therefore, it doesn't mean that we don't do anything. We don't use our God-given intelligence. We don't use our God-given abilities. It's not that we don't do these things. Just like how the Pandavas were valorous. They were great heroes. They were extremely powerful, and they did not shirk in their duties in any way. They completely immersed themselves in working and in doing their duties for the pleasure of the Lord. And at the same time, they were completely surrendered to the Lord. So, the saying goes, work like as if there is no God. See, work like as if there is no God. That means you work as if you think that everything depends on you. You work in that way. But once you finish your work, you surrender like as if you didn't do a single thing. That means you after that, you don't expect the results. You completely give it to the Supreme Lord, and you completely are surrendered to whatever Krishna will give you. I may have worked very hard, I may have done the best, but it's up to Krishna to give whatever that he thinks it's right? We are not attached to the fruits. So that is the idea. So this is the mood of helpless, the correct mood of helpless surrender, right? And because, and then what does Kunti Maharani continue? She continues, she expresses further. She tells, thinking that Krishna will argue, you have your Pandavas, you have your husbands, so why do you come to me? So therefore, she says in the next verse, as the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit, just like how when you die, right, everything is gone, finished. The body is not given the due respect. You may say, yes, we put him in a nice gold coffin, or you may put him in a nice pyramid or whatever. But the point is, in the end, the body is forgotten. It's rotting. How greatly Julius Caesar may have been glorified, but where is he now? So, so in this way, the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit. It's gone. Nobody cares already. Similarly, if you do not look upon us, all our fame and activities along with the Pandavas and Yadus will end at once. So not to say that Kunti Maharani is attached to the name and fame. She is simply portraying these as excuses. She is simply telling Krishna, we may be having name, we may be having fame, we may be having all these wonderful things, but don't you understand, Krishna? It is only due to you, right? And it's interesting why she's suddenly saying Yadus, right? We are talking about Pandavas. The Pandavas are there addressing Krishna because she knows Krishna is going to go to Dwaraka, and that's where the Yadavas are. And Kunti Maharani is actually, her family is Yadavas. She is the sister of Vasudeva, and she was married to the Pandavas. So she's of both families. Her parental family are the Yadus, and her married family are the Pandavas. So she's saying both of us derive our fame, our prosperities from you, Krishna. And why? So therefore, in other words, she is saying, we may have all these things, but do you not know you are that soul of our existence? You are our the soul of that body. So everything, you are the soul of our existence. You are our Atma, Prana Jiva. So this is what Kunti Maharani is saying. And she's saying, she continues further, O Gadadhar, Our kingdom is now being marked by the impressions of your feet, and therefore it appears beautiful. Only therefore it appears beautiful, not otherwise. So she's directly surrendering. This is a saranagati. She's saying everything is due to you. But when you leave, it will no longer be so. But we may be thinking, oh, Kunti Maharani is attached to name, attached to opulence. Not so. She's, as I said again, she's presenting these as excuses. And she's also presenting this as her surrender. And it will be shown in the next verse that Kunti Maharani is not attached to this prosperity. So then she further continues, all these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. The trees are full of fruits, the rivers are flowing, the hills are full of minerals, and the oceans are full of wealth. And this is all due to your glancing over them. So Prabhupada gives elaborate purport on this. He says how this is the true prosperity of a civilization. It is not due to the artificial gigantic industries which are being erected and which is squeezing out the vital energy of humanity. Because the humanity's vital energy is meant for spiritual upliftment, spiritual realization, not to be squeezed out in industry. So unfortunate. So and these are the real prosperity, and these prosperities are due to godliness. So when we uphold dharma, godliness, naturally all these things will be in abundance. So currently we can see the earth is shrinking, and everything is so much more harder to grow. The vegetables are less nutritious than they were. The herbs were less potent than they were because of rampant adharma. So Kunti Maharani is praying to the Supreme Lord and saying, you are my only maintainer. So these are all symptoms of Saranagati. You are our only shelter. You are our soul. You are our only maintainer. And then Kunti Maharani goes to the next stage of her prayer. So this is where the heart of hearts of Kunti Maharani's prayer is nestled within. This is actually what she actually wants. Kunti Maharani, the whole prayer in the end this is the crux of her prayer. This is what she actually wants now. And it's called Lalasamai, desiring the perfectional stage. So based on this desire, we can understand the mind and heart of Kunti Maharani. We may suspect, oh, Kunti Maharani is attached to name, fame, prosperity. So when we hear this prayer, we will understand that it's not true. So what is that prayer? Ata vivesha vishwatman visvamurte swakeshu me sneha pasam imam chindi dridam pandushu vrishnishu. So it's very interesting. Ata means therefore. Vishvesha vishatman vishvamurte. She's saying, oh, Vishvesha, Vishva Isha, soul, the controller, the soul of the universe. Vishwa Atman, you are the supreme personality of the entire creation. Vishwa Murte, O supreme form of the entire universe. She is saying, Chindi means cut. Chindi Dridam means cut deeply, not just cut deeply until you sever completely. Sever what? Sever this Sneha Pasham. Pasam means this affection. Sneha to my kin. So, O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, personality or form of the universe, Vishwamurte, therefore, please sever my tie of affection for my kinsman. Sneha Pasham. Chindi Dridam, cut deeply. And who are these kinsmen, which I call kinsmen? They are the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. Pandushu and Vrishnishu. Pandavas and the Vrishnis. Now, this is a very interesting prayer because number one, Kunti Maharani is a lady. And generally, I'm saying generally, so generally, for women, the most important thing for them is their family. Ideally, lah. I mean, usually the nowadays is sometimes different, but then generally the most important thing for a woman is a family. She's always concerned with her children, her husband, her kinsman, her family, right? So that's why, kudumekku kuttu velakku. So therefore this is the idea. And it's very strange for a lady to pray, to ask to be severed of all affection for the kinsman. So this indicates that actually Kunti Maharani is not interested in fortune. She's not a fortune hunter. She's not a gold digger, right? She's not someone who is only praying to Krishna and praying to Pandavas because she's interested in the Aishwarya and the prosperity and all that. She's actually troubled in her heart. Why is she troubled in her heart? Because she finds that her affection to her relatives, her affection to the Pandavas and to the Vrishnis are disturbing her mind, because it's coming as a cloud in between the sun, her vision of the sun. It's coming as a distraction. So how do we know that? Am I just concluding? No, she says this in her next verse. 1:842. Twayi me ananya visaya mater madhupate sakrit ratim udvadatat ada gange vaugam udanvati. So what is she saying? She's saying, oh Madhupate, oh Lord of sweetness, right? She's calling him Madhupate. Before that, she called him the supreme, the soul of the supreme, the soul of the universe, because you are so powerful. So I need you, because you're so powerful, to deeply cut my ties of affection, because she considers these ties of affections are extremely powerful and extremely strong. So only you who are so powerful can cut them. And now she's calling him Madhupate, oh Lord of sweetness. You are the reservoir of sweetness. Do not put a bottleneck to that sweet honey which you are giving to me. Do not, and what is that bottleneck? That bottleneck is my ties of affection to the Pandus and to the Pandavas and to the Vrishnis. Because now that you are leaving, right, the Pandavas are going to suffer. They completely rely on you. They are going to miss you. They are the completely taken shelter of you. So seeing the Pandavas suffer, I am going to suffer. And I am asking you to come and stay. So Kunti Maharani doesn't want to force the Lord, right? She doesn't want to instruct the Lord to serve them. So this is the nature of a pure devotee. A pure devotee never asks the Lord for anything. So the pure devotee's mood is only to serve the Supreme Lord. We don't have to imitate Kunti Maharani's level, but it's important for us to understand what is the heights of bhakti. So that when we know what is the ultimate heights and the ultimate goal, just like the gopis' prayers, right? In the Sikshashtakam, the 8th verse, even if you kick me, O Lord, my devotion to you will never cease. So she is saying, I don't want to make this kind of prayers to you, Lord, because they are interfering in my sweetness of your lotus face. And she's also saying the Vrishnis, because now you're going to go to the Vrishnis. If I force you to stay with me, then my Vrishnis are suffering. And I cannot take it to know that my kinsmen, the Vrishnis, are devoid of you, devoid of your presence. So this kind of feeling that I'm torn at one side because I want to give the Vrishnis your darshan. At the same time, I want to hold your darshan to me. So I'm being torn apart. So my mind is being disturbed. And because my mind is being disturbed, it is interfering in my devotion to you. So therefore, sever these ties of affection. I don't want to be having any affection for the Pandavas. I don't want to have any affection for the Vrishnis. So this is a natural behavior of a pure devotee. A pure devotee is always, though the pure devotee is always hankering for the association of the Lord, the pure devotee will never want to inconvenience another devotee. The pure devotee will never want to deprive another devotee. The pure devotee is easy for Kunti, she can just say, stay with me, stay with me. But Kunti is such an open-minded, beautiful soul that she is always paraduka duki. She cannot stand the suffering of others. So when she's thinking that if I'm calling you and asking you to stay, the Vrishnis are suffering, and I cannot tolerate this. So therefore, please cut off my affection. I don't want to feel like this. I only want what you want. So let me be focused in what only you want to do. So therefore, O Madhupate, just like as the Ganga forever flows to the sea without hindrance, in the same way, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted. So the word is Ananya Visaya Mati. So Ananya, that means without any kind of a distraction. Visaya means concentration. We have a similar verse also in the Bhagavad Gita. What's that verse? Vyavasayatmika buddhe ekeha kurunandana. Right? This is the second chapter. Vyavasayatmika buddhe ekeha kurunandana bahushaka hi anantascha. Bahushaka hi anantascha. Say again. Buddhayo avyavasayanam. Yes. Thank you. Okay, so we have similar verse. Let my intelligence be one single branched. Let it not be many branched. Bahu shaka means many branched. Bahu shaka. So I don't want to be many branched in my intelligence. I want it to be only focused in one thing. So this is a prayer of Kunti Maharani. So from here we can understand she's not interested in other things. She's only interested in what Krishna, in serving the Supreme Lord, in pleasing the Supreme Lord. To the extent that she even the slight distraction of her kinsman suffering is causing a problem for her. So therefore she is praying to the Lord. This is a prayer, the heart of a prayer. So Kunti Maharani concludes her prayers. So there she now talks about, she when we conclude, generally again she makes a summary. So the summary is a summary and her obeisances. So she gives her pranam to Supreme Lord. So she gave so many verses from 1.8, from 18, from verse 18 up to verse 43. So many verses, and all of these verses were either glorification or humility, and only twice she actually asked for benedictions. And this is the second time she's asking it. So now this is a summary. O Krishna, O friend of Arjuna, O chief amongst the descendants of Vrishni, Sri Krishna, Krishna Saka, Vrishni Rashabhavani Drug. You are the destroyer of those political parties which are disturbing elements on this earth. Your prowess never deteriorates. Right? And she's saying, you are the proprietor of the transcendental abode, and you descend to relieve the distresses of the cows, the brahmanas, and the devotees. So this is a nice summary of all her prayers. And finally, Yogeshwara Kila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Obeisances to you, Bhagavan. You possess all mystic powers, and you are the preceptor of the entire universe. You are the guru of the entire universe. You are the Almighty God, and I offer you my respectful obeisances. So in this way, Kunti Maharani concludes her prayers. So we have come here. So as I mentioned earlier, we have only twice Kunti Maharani actually prayed, asking for something. One is the prayer here, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.25. So we look it up. And the other prayer here is the one that we just concluded, verse 41 and 42, asking to sever my, affection for the kinsman. So Now we will continue. What happened when Krishna heard Kunti Maharani's heartfelt and sincere prayer, right? What did he do? Thus, hearing the prayers of Kunti Devi composed in choice words for his glorification, right? So very beautifully, Kunti Maharani has used choice words. What did he do? He mildly smiled. So this smile of the Lord is very bewitching. So mandam jahasa. Jahasa is the smile. So there's another word for smile, which is prahasan, which is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita also is there. After Arjuna says, I'm not going to fight Arjuna, I'm not going to fight Krishna, we will be overcome by sin, these are my gurus and everything. At the end of all these things, before Krishna begins his Bhagavad Gita, Krishna smiles, prahasan, sarcastically, in one kind of cynical type of half smile. So this smile of the Lord is extremely enchanting. Mohayam. This is part of the verse, Mohayam. And Moha means illusion. So it's like his Maya, his mystic power. But this is not Mahamaya. So just like his Moha, Prabhupada gives the example of electricity. Electricity can be used to heat up, to boil water. It can also be used to chill the room, right? Refrigeration. So it can achieve opposite effects. So in similar way, Krishna's Maya in the form of Mahamaya bewilders the living entities into forgetting Krishna. Whereas that same power, Maya, in the form of Yoga Maya, is actually giving so much of pleasure to the devotees. It can also be used to bewilder and to forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but not in spirit. Mahamaya completely makes them forget and makes them in ignorance. Whereas Yoga Maya, they are still conscious of the Lord, but they forget that He is the Supreme. They forget that He is the soul of the universe. They forget that He is the Visha, the Visha Atma, and all these things. Instead, they only remember His sweetness. Therefore, Kunti Maharani prayed to him, Madhupate, give me more of your sweetness. So, Krishna therefore smiles. Eva Mayaya. So, this smile is in the purport. Prabhupada explains how this smile is so bewitching. It is actually just an ounce of all that is enchanting and all that is beautiful and all that is splendorous in the entire creation. All of that is represented in Krishna's smile. So in Bhagavad Gita also there's a similar verse. Yad yad vibhutimat sattvam srimad urjitam evava. Right? So all of these vibhutis which I described to you, O Arjuna, I am the king amongst the kings. I am Yudhishthira, Rama. Amongst the aquatics, I am the shark. Amongst the devas, I am Indra. So all these vibhutis which I have explained to you are simply but a spark of my splendor. So know that all that is beautiful, all that is splendorous, all that is glorious are just a spark. And what happens? Not only he smiles, but upon preparing to leave, he was further stopped by King Yudhishthira. So not only Kunti Maharani is imploring him to stay, Yudhishthira Maharaj also came to him and implored him lovingly, please stay. And in spite of all of these, in lieu of all of their imploring solicitation, Prabhupada writes, Krishna actually stayed a little longer. So this is how we invite the Lord and keep the Lord in our heart by sincere feeling prayers. So now we have concluded Kunti's Prarthana, and we are now going to move to the next part. Now, despite Krishna himself agreeing to stay with the Pandavas, and they were very happy. Pandavas were very happy that Krishna was staying. But nevertheless, Yudhishthira Maharaj was plagued with misery. he couldn't, over the next few days, he was completely disturbed. He was so disturbed with self-recrimination. Uh, he was blaming himself. 650 million people have died. And he was thinking, all of this is only because they wanted to put me as king. And am I the cause of the death of 650 million people? And am I the cause of the lamentation of so many other people, countless other millions? So despite hearing Krishna's Bhagavad Gita, and despite understanding that Krishna wanted this to happen, and despite understanding that this is for the satisfaction of Bhuma Devi to release the burden of the adharmic Kshatriyas, nevertheless, King Yudhishthira, he's a very saintly person. Just like how Arjuna was a very saintly person, despite knowing all the adharmas that the Kauravas have done, in the Bhagavad Gita, he was overwhelmed with compassion. And that same hallmark of a devotee, which is compassion, is also seen within Yudhishthira Maharaj. So again, Yudhishthira Maharaj, you can see here, none of these people want power. None of these people want fame, glory, opulence. They were willing to live a simple life as long as Dharma was served. But Kauravas, Duryodhana didn't even want to give 5 villages. He didn't even want to give a spot of sand for a pin to be driven into. So how can, he was, in other words, denying the Dharma, the execution of Dharma of the Pandavas. So if the Pandavas, who were the sons of Dharma himself, cannot execute Dharma, they had no other choice. That's the reason they had this war. And of course, it was Krishna's desire. Krishna wanted to show that, see the caliber of my devotees. My devotees are ananya. They want to have nothing to do with material nature. They only want to serve Dharma, and they only want to live for my pleasure. So therefore, King Yudhishthira, who was much aggrieved, could not be convinced, despite instructions by great sages headed by Vyasa and Lord Krishna himself, the performer of superhuman feats, Adbhuta Karmana, and despite all historical evidence. So he had all the justification from Shastra, scripture, historical evidences, justification from the Munis, from the Vyasadev himself, and even from Krishna himself telling him. But this is the hallmark of a pure devotee. Not to say that he was being stubborn. No. This is the hallmark of a devotee in showing how he is actually compassionate. He's para dukkha dukhi always. Adbhuta karmana. So, and Prabhupada explains, it's very significant that the word Adbhuta Karmana is used. Krishna, the performer of superhuman feats, because Krishna again performed the superhuman feat. What is that superhuman feat? He made the son of Dharma become illusioned about what is Dharma. He actually made Yudhishthira Maharaj, just like how he put Arjuna in illusion when he wanted to speak Bhagavad Gita. So now Krishna is putting Yudhishthira Maharaj, Dharma Shuta. He's putting Dharma Shuta, the son of Dharma himself, into illusion. So Krishna likes to do like this. He likes to take the best devotee and put him into illusion, just to show that, just to bring out the qualities of that devotee. See, my devotees are not interested in anything material. See? So like that, he likes to show that. So therefore, he's doing this. And this time, people might say, oh, Krishna likes to do this because he likes to talk. Krishna likes to give Gitas. He gave Bhagavad Gita, then he gave Uddhava Gita. No. So now Krishna is showing, in countless times he has shown, he has given all glory to devotees. And now Krishna is the supreme, extremely intelligent, extremely cunning person who knows how to use the different time to actually solve multiple things. When Krishna does something, even one action, he actually accomplishes multiple. We say kill a bird. Sorry, What's that verse? You throw a stone, kill two birds with one stone. It's a very gross example. So, in that way, Krishna performs many things by one act. So he used this as an excuse to glorify another devotee. So not only Yudhishthira Maharaj, so he purposely put Yudhishthira into illusion, right? And he's trying to now glorify another person. So he will force Yudhishthira to go and get solace from another person. And in this way, he will glorify that person as so great. Vyasa tried to give solace to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Krishna himself tried to give solace to Yudhishthira Maharaj. But now Krishna wants to show how great this other person is who's going to give solace to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So King Yudhishthira, O son of Dharma, Dharma Sutas, overwhelmed by the death of his friends, was aggrieved just like a common materialistic man. So he was put in illusion. What illusion? Sneha moha. Sneha means affection. Illusion of affection. O sages, thus deluded by affection, he began to speak. So now we will hear all of Yudhishthira Maharaj's excuses, just like we heard Arjuna's excuses in Bhagavad Gita. Now we will hear Yudhishthira Maharaj's excuses in Bhagavad Gita. And we will see how wonderful Yudhishthira Maharaj is. King Yudhishthira said, oh my lord, sorry, this is not Lord. Oh my lord, I am the most sinful man. This is the son of Dharma speaking. Just see my heart. A pure devotee will always want to show people how fallen I am. He will never want to show how great he is, even when there is no example to show. This is just like a pastime in, what's the time? Okay, someone got time. Okay, I can go in this. I was remembering Chaitanya Charitamrita pastime. There was Srinivas Acharya. Srinivas Acharya was such a great devotee, and his neighbors became very jealous of him. They said, why he's such a Brahmana, they're all Brahmana community, and say, why he's showing he's a great Bhakta, is it? He's a great Brahmana, is it? I'm also great. So therefore they wanted to, out of envy, they wanted to pull him down, try to pin some kind of negative thing to him to bring down his reputation, because they were envious he was getting popular. So what they did, they tried so many things, but they couldn't find a spot in his character. So therefore, they stooped to faking, planting something on Srinivas Acharya's character. So what they did, they went and took some chicken, a dead chicken, some blood, some lemon, some sindoor, some what else? And then these things, and they put that all in front of Srinivas Acharya's house. Now, if someone had put that in front of your house, what would we think? We would think black magic, right? So that's what their plan. They wanted to everyone to see that Srinivas Acharya, for all that he's speaking about great Brahminical wisdom, is nothing but a black magician, a lowly tantric person. So they wanted to malign the character of Srinivas Acharya. But when Srinivas Acharya opened the door and he saw this, did he immediately say, hey, I'm being crucified here, I'm being falsely accused, you know my character, you know how I am, I'm a Brahmana, you know my family, you know my guru, I've done this kind of I've done this Bhagavad Sapta class, I've done so many classes, I can't be the one doing these things. This is my character. So he didn't even try to, but instead that's not what he did. Instead of doing that, he immediately said, see everybody, see how I am such a fallen person, see how I'm actually not a great devotee. I've been telling you again and again I'm nothing great, but you people, so now this is evidence to show that actually, see, I also am not anything great. So this is Srinivas Acharya's character. So similarly, Yudhishthira Maharaj, I am most sinful man. Just see my heart, which is full of ignorance. This body, which is ultimately meant for others, has killed many, many phalanxes of men. So this is his mind. He's thinking, he was always thinking, my birth, my body, my mind, my actions is meant for pleasing others. That is why he even sat in that the gambling match. He sat there because he had taken a promise. Because once in the Rajasiva sacrifice, someone told, one of the Munis gave an astrologer or something. They were saying this entire what do you call? There will be a huge war coming, Mahabharata, and everything will be destroyed. And when Yudhishthira Maharaj heard this, he decided, how can we be causes of such a war? Let me now take a vow. I will take a vow, because he knows his dharma and he knows what are the causes of war. So therefore he checkmated all the causes of war. I can't remember now, but one of those vows which he took was never to disobey the order of his senior. So this was one of the, because he says problems and arguments and disagreements and fights occur because of, one of the reasons is arguments, and this is due to not following the instructions of your senior, of elderly people, of those who are older than you. So he took two other vows. So altogether there were 3 vows. I can't remember the other 2, but this is the third one, the relevant one. And because of this, and Duryodhana knew about this vow. So that's why he didn't invite Yudhishthira Maharaj for the gambling match, because he knew Yudhishthira Maharaj then will find ways to refuse. So he made Dhritarashtra invite Yudhishthira Maharaj, and he made Dhritarashtra force him to remain in that gambling assembly. So it was because to uphold this vow. So so therefore, since Yudhishthira Maharaj already checkmated the cause of war with his vow, so how can war happen? So therefore Krishna had to take different ways. He had to find ingenious ways to somehow force the war to happen, because Krishna wanted the war. He wanted the entire the burden of the earth to be relieved, right? And there were so many, and he wanted dharma to be established, and he wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj to be king. So therefore he found a way to insult Draupadi. So all these things had to happen. How did he find a way to insult Draupadi? He made Bhishma Dev silent. Because if Bhishma Dev alone, or even Dronacharya alone, had raised their voices, then that would not have happened, and Bhishma would not have died. So he made that happen. So this is why, anyway, it's a long story. We'll not go into that. We'll probably can discuss that some other time. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, he's like, can you imagine his mind? He's shattered in his heart. He's saying, I took such vows, and these vows are not easy, right? I took such vows, and I tried so hard not to have this war. And now, because of me, I'm being put as king. I have caused the deaths of many, many phalanxes of men. Hundreds of thousands of men, 650 million of men have died. So therefore, he says, I have killed Bala, I have killed children. So here he's referring to Abhimanyu. He didn't kill Abhimanyu, but he has caused, he's taking the responsibility because he's the king, right? That is one of the hallmark of leaders. When you are a temple president or a leader or a guru or a GBC, we have to take responsibility for what happens within our jurisdiction. So this is a hallmark, or a father or a mother, right? We have to take responsibility. So Bala, I have caused the deaths of children. He is also referring to the death of his children, right? How Ashwatthama killed the Pandava princes, right? I have caused the deaths of Dvijas. He's referring here to Dronacharya. I have caused the deaths of Suhrit. Suhrit means well-wishers. So many well-wishers also were there in the opposite side of the army, and also within my side also, all of them have died. All of them pledged their lives to me, and now they are dead. I have caused the deaths of Mitra, friends. Friends have died because of me. I have caused the deaths of Pitras. Pitras are my elders. Elders are the like Bhishma Charya, Bhishma, Drona, all these elders have died because of me. I have killed brothers. Yeah, this actually is brother. Brother in Sanskrit is brother. So I have killed brothers, sibling. He's not referring to the direct brothers. He's referring to example Karna. I have killed gurus. So many people who have taught me so many things. Mainly, of course, Dronacharya, but even Bhishma Dev, and all these are gurus. They have taught me, and he's overwhelmed. And what is the result? So Yudhishthira is saying, "Oh, I'm overwhelmed with sin. I'm choking with sin. Sin is choking me." But one may argue, but you are a king, you had to do this, you have no choice. You had to uphold dharma. So a king who kills for righteous reasons will not be overwhelmed with sin. But knowing that people will try to emancipate him, he's in this mood. He's in this mood that I cannot. It's all me. It's all me. We have all had that moods before. So therefore, he's saying, but his is transcendental, and the difference between us and him is he's sincere. There is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause. Yes, who is engaged in maintaining his citizens. True. But Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying, but this does not affect me. This is not applicable to me. He is exonerating himself. No, this injunction doesn't apply to me. Why it doesn't apply to me? So later we will find out. So then he's saying, I have also caused enmity. Droham. I have caused drohan. Drohasenjachi. He has caused droham to so many people. To who? To strees, all the women who are crying because their husbands and their children and their brothers and their family are dead. I have caused so much of droham. I have caused so much of droham to the Hatha Bandhus. Hatha means those who are killed. Bandhus means friends. I have caused so much of misery and pain to all those friends of those who have died. And this kind of drohams and this kind of sins cannot be counteracted by material welfare work. People may argue, okay, you have done sins, but you can counter sins, you can do this yagya, you can probably give charity, you can do some austerities. It's true, when you commit sins, austerity, charity, what's the other one? Austerity, charity, spiritual practice, taking up spiritual practice can actually counteract sin. Yes, but Arjuna, but Yudhishthira is saying here, as it is not possible to filter muddy water through mud or purify a wine-stained pot with wine, right? So this is something new for us. So sometimes somebody might give you a wine bottle which looks very nice, but we cannot use that wine bottle because once it's contaminated, that contamination of liquor cannot be purified. It's never to be purified, so it's to be thrown. When I read this, because some of my cousins, they drink, so they have very nice looking bottles, and they keep those bottles, so you can't touch them. So similarly, Yudhishthira Maharaj says, just like how the sin that I have committed, there is no yagya, there is no counteraction, there is no prayaschita existing which can counteract this many sins, this many drohams. I cannot think of one. So this is Yudhishthira Maharaj's feeling, and he's overwhelmed with that misery, and he's he's depressed, he's despondent. So just to glorify another pure devotee, Krishna has put Yudhishthira into this predicament. Who is that pure devotee Krishna is going to glorify? This we will see in the next chapter, because Krishna will convince the Pandavas to go and pay your respects to Bhishma Dev. So, and that is what will happen in the next chapter. So all of them will go in a huge, wonderful procession, and they will go and give their respects to Bhishma Dev. Because Bhishma Dev is not yet dead. He's lying on a bed of arrows. Who made those arrows? Arjuna made those arrows by the instruction of Yudhishthira and Krishna. So they will go, and there Krishna will ask Bhishma Dev to speak, to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj, and Bhishma Dev will show will speak in such a way that Yudhishthira Maharaj is completely pacified. So indirectly he's trying to say, see how great Bhishma Dev is. That's why Bhishma Dev is also one of the Mahajans. Actually, there are many glories about Bhishma Dev. Later in chapter 9, we will hear all about that when we read the Bhagavatam. So we have completed. Now it is 8:32. We have, I'll just go through this chapter again. This was quite a long chapter. So usually if it's just description about, or in Bhagavatam, when we talk about Srimad Bhagavatam, we can say Bhagavatam is made up of narrations. Narration means it's like what happened next, what are the, who spoke, who is speaking, and all these are narrations, setting the scene, right? It's made up of narrations. It's made up of actions. So actions are what happened. Arjuna is killing. The Dronacharya's son is captured, right? Arjuna has cut off the hair of Dronacharya's son, Ashwatthama, like that. These are actions. And it's made up of narration, action, and prayers, the third one. So prayers are all the wonderful, beautiful, heartfelt glorifications of the different devotees. So usually when it is action and narration, we can go faster. But when it comes to the prayers, it's very important that we need to really analyze those prayers and try to draw out as much nectar as we can and imbibe it in our consciousness and try to understand their mood. Because when we understand their mood, then we have a mold, right? We are trying to mold ourselves. Mold ourselves into what? If we don't understand the prayers of the pure devotees, we will not understand what is that mold. So then, we are trying to bake a cake, we'll make different molds. So this is important. So that's why it took some time, 3 parts. Next topic should be faster. To chapter 9, right? So with that, I would like to stop here. Thank you very much. So this is the concluding verse from Bhagavatam. Dharma pro jihita kaitavo. Where is that? Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth. So it is free from dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So that is why we don't see so much about these topics. It's purely about the highest truth, right? So this is what we are going to stop with. So thank you very much. I'll stop the sharing.